answer, but we're going to start off with anybody have any announcements about the Raspberry Pi or even D-Star? I'm going to toss something out there. So come on ahead, give me your name and call sign, and I'll acknowledge you.
KC8YQL.
KC8YQL. Come ahead, give us your name, please.
Okie dokie, the name here is Bill. QTH is 100 miles due straight north of the Dayton Hamvention. So now I already give away what I'm going to talk about, right? This reflector, REF38 Charlie, as well as the DXtra client software reflector, X reflector 38 Charlie, will both be co-linked up to the Hamvention repeaters down in Dayton. So throughout this week, you'll probably see a lot of more folks linked into both of the assets of the reflectors. And I believe I counted there was like 100 connections on here. Was it the last 2, 3, 4 years? I think I counted like 100 gateway device users, not counting repeaters. So it's quite amazing how much traffic we'll hear and see a lot of folks link up. So I hope everybody will travel safe and be careful and have a great time at the new location at the Xenia County Fairgrounds for the Dayton Hamvention 2017. And maybe we'll catch some of you guys there. KC8YQL is back to net control.
Thanks for that announcement, Bill. I knew that was coming. I'm glad you did it. So are there any specific times you think that there will be things going on that might be worth listening in, or just listening in general? That would be what I need to hear about. Come on back.
Yeah, probably just general listening, and I suspect I haven't talked to George Thomas, but I think George will probably have some live feeds up. And of course, all you guys already know Tom from the Helmet Cam, I should say. W5BKU is always streaming live streams from there. So the folks that don't get to attend, you'll have about 3 different avenues to watch live streaming video from down there. They're Alive is their main backhaul stream that they usually have, throughout the year. If you go to Dare Alive, you can go to YouTube and do a Google search. Actually, over on YouTube, not on Google, but go to YouTube, search Dare Alive. You'll find a bunch of streams, probably streaming live from there. And I don't know if George will be under Amateur Logic's name, or he'll have a special name. He'll probably be doing some live streaming, I'm pretty sure, around the Viasat Exceed satellite uplink stuff is what he usually sets up. And, of course, Tom's always running the live stream, too. So there'll be 3 probably live streams. I don't have the exact URL other than W5KUB. That's Tom's call sign. You go to hiscall.com and find his stuff. And I believe, seems like, I don't know if Gary Pierce would do live streaming for Ham Radio now. Usually Gary just archives videos and edits them, puts them up for us to view later. And also Jason's going to be there this year, as he usually is. He might be doing some live streaming too. He did do a little live streaming from the Orlando Ham Cantation. And that's from Ham Radio 2.0. And also his ham shop name is GrapevineAmateurRadio.com. And if you're looking to buy a Open Spot Shark RF, Jason happens to have the very best price on those little gizmos. He's got them for like $215. And one of my guys actually picked one up here about a week ago, and he had 9 in stock. That was amazing. Nobody has stock on those, so you might want to check that out if you're in the market for one of the open spots. Enough rattling off for me. KC8YQL wants to hear some good Raspberry Pi technical information, and Maybe you'll find out Ted Lee's on a boat tonight, too. ECYQL is back to net.
Thanks a lot, Bill. Appreciate all that information. That's good news. Yeah, 215 is a good price for a Shark RF. I've been thinking about one myself. So, anybody else have any announcements for the Raspberry Pi D-StarNet tonight? There's still an announcements on the questions. Yes, a few announcements about D-Star, Raspberry Pi, other equipment related to D-Star and Raspberry Pis or D-Star equipment. Come on in. This is the V7VSQ. I'll give me your name and your call sign. I'll acknowledge it. Well, nothing seen or heard. I guess that means that I'm going to toss out a couple more things. VisNet does maintain a Facebook group. It can be found on Facebook at www.facebook.com/groups/dstar.pi, and that's P-I. And there's also, there we go. There's also a web page for the group. It's www.wa7ref.info. One more time, that's www.victoralpha7ref.info. And you get more information there. So once again, that depends on your participation. We're going to have a short net. So let's go ahead and have questions and answers. This is a big learning period. I'm looking forward to learning something too. I don't know it all, that's for sure. So come on ahead, give your name and call sign, and come ahead with questions.
Well, good evening, Jim. I'm just going to check in. I don't think I heard that part of it, or maybe I missed it. KD7AAT down in Como, California. Good evening.
Yeah, we'll do check-ins actually towards the end of the minute after we've gone through questions and answers. But I'll take a check-in now, John. Glad you joined us. Do you have any questions tonight?
No, other than the fact that my FlightAware Raspberry Pi quit working, so I had to reboot it. I have absolutely no idea why, but when I would bring up the link, there was no tracking data, so I did a reboot on the Pi, and it's all working again. And I think it's got something to do with the FlightAware software once in a great while. I used to have a cron tab in the Pi to reboot it every night at midnight. And I think I might need to go back and uncomment that in the cron tab and just have it reboot again. Not sure why it happens. I think it's something to do with the software, but you never know. Thanks for being there tonight, Jim. KD7AAT.
And that said, John, I think it's always a good reminder for ourselves is that not every piece of software, in fact, there never has been a piece of perfect software written. A lot of it's stable, but a lot of times it loads up with funny stuff and you gotta reboot it. It's just the way life goes. Sounds like you did the right thing. Keep an eye on it. Reboot it when necessary. My Raspberry Pi right now has been sitting for 2 months running, and it's been relatively stable. However, tonight I'm coming to you from my Sun TV. It allows me to keep track of who's checking in. See all the calls coming on my screen. So I have my Kenwood THD74A sitting in the background attached to the Pi if I have trouble with this, but it always works well. And if I try to switch between them, then I'm always getting crosstalk and echo because the two speaker systems are not very coordinated, turning one off to the other. So it's just sitting there in the background. being available for me. So does anybody else have any questions tonight for the Raspberry Pi D-StarNet? Come on ahead. Give me your name and call sign.
N0WIQ.
This is KC8MLB, Kilo Charlie 8, Mike Lima Bravo, Bob in Summerfield with a question.
KC8MLB, Bob, come in with your question.
Good evening to everyone on the net. I'm trying to connect a Raspberry Pi DV Mega board. Actually, it's a DV Mega board on an Arduino board. I need to connect that with a separate Raspberry Pi, and I'm wondering if it's possible to hardwire the USB connections between the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino, or if someone makes, or if it's possible to make yourself a small ribbon cable to connect the USB ports between the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino. Back to Net Control, KC8MLB.
Okay, that's the one that stumped me, and I'm going to have to turn it out there. So let me make sure I've got the question right. You want to connect a Raspberry Pi with Arduino, and you want to know about type of cable or hardwiring. So I'm sure somebody out there's got the response to that. I just want to say that one more time, Bob. Is that what we're looking for?
Roger that. That's correct. There's a USB, I think it's a B cable on port on one side and a cable on the other. Maybe it's a B and a C. I'm not sure which they are, but it's the kind of square cable on the one side and a rectangular USB connector on the other side. Back to Net Control.
Okay. Come on in now with your answers on that. Give your name and call sign. I'll let you know what you wanted to die. I bet there's answers out there. Come on ahead.
W7EFS.
Tony, come on in. What's your answer there?
Well, as the question was being asked, I went to eBay and typed in a search for USB-A male, 2 words male. And I came up with a 10-foot cord for $2.81 with free shipping.
Okay, that sounds like a possible solution. Bob, did you copy that?
I copied that. This is KC8MLB. What I'm actually looking for, I'm trying to put the two devices inside of a case. I also have a 5-inch touch screen for the device and would like to eliminate a long cable. I have a 6-foot cable, but it's not going to look too good having a 6-foot cable hanging outside of a case. Back to Net Control.
Well, I guess the obvious question for me would be, as you Googled short USB cable or 3-inch USB cable, male to male, have you done that possibly?
I have done Google searches on some type of USB cable, but the shortest I think I found was about a 6-inch cable, and that's okay. But again, if I could avoid going outside of the case, it would look much better cosmetically. Back to Net Control, KC8MLB.
I just Googled the background 3-inch USB cable, and they do exist. So 3-inchers and 4-inchers. So why don't you give that a shot? See what you can come up with. I even have it listed as extra short USBs.
Zero WIQ, Terry. Looking to check in.
In 0 WIQ, we're not checking in right now. We're answering questions. Check-in will be later. Do you have a response for this question at this time?
Maybe I do. because to connect two USB ports together, you might have to have a flip over cable to boot. As far as that's concerned, because it depends on how the USB ports are configured on the two devices.
Okay, another thing to consider. Thank you very much for that response.
N0WIQ.
Anybody else have any suggestions to help follow out with this connection?
N0SO. NYLZE.
Seeing lots of quick keys. If you have a response for the question, please give them ahead your name and call sign. I'm not sure if these people are checking in or what.
Oh, W4LKS has an idea.
Thanks, Randy. Come on ahead with your idea.
Well, he did say that he might entertain a way to use a ribbon cable to connect his Arduino to his Raspberry Pi, which I think would be the more straightforward solution, because I'm not sure if they're going to do the proper handshaking that they need to do over that USB cable. I just don't know about that. Maybe it does or maybe it doesn't, but I'm pretty sure it will over the GPIO pin. I think that's the way it's meant to do it. So what I have done in the past is it's a 40-pin ribbon cable, which happens to be the same as an old-fashioned hard drive cable from your PC. So go into your junk drawer, find an old ribbon cable that you used to use with your hard drive, and those should plug in on the GPIO pins of a Raspberry Pi. And you just got to figure out how to connect the other end. So you might have to cut off the other end of the connector, or figure out a way to put some jumpers on it or something like that. That's the hard part. The Raspberry Pi end is easy. The Arduino end, you'll have to figure something out. And you'll have to chase down the conductors as well. But anyway, I've done that before with an old hard drive ribbon cable.
That totally makes sense to me. I was wondering too about the handshake between the USB, but I think GPIO connection would probably be the best. And as with most things with ham radio, it's going to take some experimentation, that's for sure. Anybody else out there have any solutions?
November 0 Sierra Oscar, Mike.
Mike, come on ahead. Thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you very much, and good evening. I think what the gentleman is looking for is, what he's talking about is the version of the Raspberry Pi that mounts on an Arduino, part of the version of the DV Mega that mounts on an Arduino and then gets connected to the Raspberry Pi via USB. And he's wanting to eliminate that USB cable that goes between the Raspberry Pi and the Arduino that is hosting the DV Mega. Have I got that correct? Back to the question asker.
Are you catching this, Bob?
WA7VFQ.
TC8MLB, Bob. Are you hearing Mike with his question?
This is KC8MLB. Roger that. I did hear, and that was correct. That is what I'm looking to connect back to net control, KC8MLB.
Okay, Mike, come on back ahead.
Okay, well, I think USB cables are only a few conductors, maybe 4 or 5 conductors. I don't think there's a lot of connections that you would have to make. So there's no reason why you couldn't do that with a ribbon cable as long as you got the wiring right. You could almost go off where the connectors connect up to the PC board and just wire those up pin for pin from the Raspberry Pi to the Arduino. If there's a crossover in the cable, I don't know. You'd have to look all that stuff up and figure it out. But like I say, it's only a few conductors, and as Randy was suggesting, you can take an old hard drive cable and zip off just the number of conductors you need there and wire them up and hardwire them. I've done that with things in the past. I've never tried it with the USB, so it would be an interesting experiment. Back to Net Control, this is N0SO.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we're getting where we need to go. So are you good with that information, Bob? KC8 MLB, how does that sound?
This is KC8MLB. It does give me some avenues to pursue, and I will be looking into that. Thank you. Back to Net Control, KC8MLB.
Okay, we have some great responses on that. Thanks to everybody out there that was doing it. So I think we'll move ahead to the next question and see what else is on people's minds. So anybody else have a question for the Raspberry Pi D-Star now? I will say one more time, for those that have checked in late, we will do check-ins after the question and answer period. Thank you very much.
Zero WIQ with a comment about USB.
WIQ is your name, Carrie, as I'm looking at here. And what was your question?
First of all, my name is Carrie. I spell Kilo Echo Romeo Yankee. And my comment is that USB is a 4-line twisted pair data line setup. And so if it's not a twisted pair, you're leaving yourself open for interference because you're lacking the common mode rejection that you would have with just a regular straight cable. So, unless you have a way to reconfigure the USB port on one of the devices, you'll have to use a crossover cable, like I said before.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. And let's continue on. Does anybody else have any other questions tonight for the Raspberry Pi D-Star? Come add your name and call sign.
W4LKS has another topic for discussion. Continuation from last week.
Great. Here's an answer to my question. So, W4LKS, what is your question?
Well, last week I said that I found another image that contains the G4KLX software in it. It's called Pi-Star, and it comes from station MW0MWZ, and I just wanted to report back that I did try it, and I didn't really get anywhere because my setup is using a GMSK board, a star board, for my hotspot here at my house, and for some reason, the configuration of the Pi-Star software wouldn't allow me to choose the GMSK board. So it has settings in there for the DV Mega and the DVAP and a few others, but for some reason, not the GMSK board, which I couldn't believe because the G4KLX software supports it inherently. So it seemed like it would just be a piece of cake to make it work. Let me come back for you just a sec. Anyway, I think it's a really good little D-Star hotspot setup. What's cool about it is all the configuration is done through a little inbuilt web server that it has, and you connect to the Raspberry Pi with a web browser and configure the hotspot. And it's got some pretty cool things. One of the cool things is you can toggle between using D-Star Repeater, the D4KLX component of D-Star Repeater, which is the older way, and also you can turn on the MMDVM if you know how to do that, and it supports multiple digital protocols. Anyway, Pi-Star, if anybody's looking around for something to try, it might be something to look at. I couldn't get very far with it because it wouldn't support my GMSK modem, but I haven't given up on it. Might try it on my DVAP. Anyway, that's it for me. See if anybody wants to kick that around some more there, Jim. W4LKS.
Good thoughts there. So, anybody else have any information on Pi-Star? Have you tried it? Is it working for you? What have you found? Looks like Randy's run up against a roadblock. So, anybody else using Pi-Star? Well, lots of silence out there. Randy, I'll pause that one more time. Anybody else using Pi-Star? And what's your experience?
Well, maybe it'll encourage somebody to give it a try, and we'll talk about it at some point in the future anyway. Thanks, sir. Jim, back to you, W4LKS.
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, let's keep that out there as one of those things we got to bring up next time. Does anybody, what's happening with Pi-Star? So I'm going to toss out a question that was tossed out, and nobody really had an answer, and there were a couple of, I think, fringe thoughts on what it be. Here, looking at messages coming up on my screen, occasionally I see the letters TUD. What does TUD mean? I asked Randy. He did. It was a couple of weeks ago on the net. So, what does TUD mean? There's a question for you. Come on ahead and do your name and call sign. Well, nothing seen or heard. I guess somebody knows what TUD is. So let's move on. Is anybody else have any more questions for the Raspberry Pi D-Star? Come ahead now with your name and call sign.
KD7AAT recheck with some information about Raspberry Pis and overheating.
Come on ahead, John. KD7AAT.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. A few weeks back, maybe close to a month, I can't remember now, there was a conversation that was brought up during the Dumber TechNet on the Kabara system, and I don't know if it ever flowed over this far or not. I did find out that you can have a Raspberry Pi start going flaky when it gets too hot. I have a Raspberry Pi mounted on the wall right below one of my video cameras, and the sun beats on that wall tremendously during the day. We had a very, very hot day, and the wall gets warm because it's just a 2x4 wall with plywood on the outside, plywood on the inside, and the heat comes straight through. I have some scripts made up and I use a VNC and everything so I can get to the dashboard of my Raspberry Pis and I double-click the little icon on the desktop, and it tells me what the temperature is. And right now, for instance, the temperature that I'm looking at on this particular Pi is 53 Celsius or 100 and something or whatever it is. But all of a sudden, I couldn't VNC into the Pi. I couldn't SSH into the Pi. I couldn't do anything. And I found out that it was running 180 some degrees. Well, it started flaking out. So I pulled the cover off of it, put a fan, started watching the temperature drop down, and then all of a sudden I could get back into the Pi. They do have a particular point where they just don't want to run as well as they should. So I've fixed that problem, but you want to keep them 150 degrees or less, and there is a script with some code that you can run through terminal, and it will tell you what the temperature of your Pi is. So I did find out that, yes, you can overheat them, as even overclock them, which I haven't done, but overheat, it did start getting a little on the flaky side. So as soon as I pulled the cover off of it, and it's just sitting there air drying now, it runs a lot cooler. But yeah, that was kind of strange for sure. Katie 780.
That's good, John. So I can't remember either if that was GarageNet we were doing that on, or if it was tossed out here. Do you remember the command line, John? That might be a good thing to share that command line. And if you can, why don't you text that to me? I will post it on the Raspberry Pi Ethernet Facebook page tonight.
Okay, I've got it, right in front of me right now, and I will send that to you. Katie 780.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger would be just fine, and Facebook Messenger would be great for that, John, and we will, I'll get that to me and I'll put that on. I thought that was very interesting when I first heard about that. I started doing some occasional checks to my Raspberry Pi. I'm running 2 heat sinks on it, and I was only running 36, 37 degrees centigrade. And it's not overclocked. So, Raspberry Pi 2 on my end. So, thank you very much, John. I think that's good information for people to know. We'll get that command line out there so it is available. Anybody else have any thoughts or comments on checking the temperature on your Raspberry Pi? Okay, nothing seen or heard on that. Does anybody else have any questions, comments, things they'd like to share about the Raspberry Pi at all? We'll do check-ins later. Remember, we're still in question and answer period. Okay, nothing seen or heard. I'm going to stop one more time. Anybody else have any more questions about the Raspberry Pi and VStar? Come on in now with your questions. W7 VFU.
Zero WIQ was the question.
Come ahead, Carrie. What is your question?
I'm rather anxious about the Pi temperature monitoring software because I have my Raspberry Pi hotspots in metal cases, and I had to reboot the one that has linked here because it had hung up in some manner, but I could still SSH into it and tell it to reboot, and then I could get into this net.
Well, Carrie, do you have access to the Facebook page? John will be sending me that pretty soon.
Yes, I'm sitting here in front of a laptop computer with Chromium on it, looking at some of the stuff that I'm finding, and I see a lot of stuff for monitoring the room temperature, but so far I haven't seen anything for monitoring the temperature of the pie. So yes, I'm interested in that.
As soon as I get that command line, I will post it. Actually, if I remember right, I was able to just Google Raspberry Pi temperature command, and it came up. And I will do that when I have someone else on talking. So, anybody else have any information about that command line? I just Googled it, the W7DQ. I just Googled it, and it's fairly easy to find. And I will say it very quickly. It is the command line is VCGENCMD space measure, MEASURE _ temp. Really is the command line. That's VCGENCMD space measure _ temp. TEMP. Give that one a try. I will post it on the Raspberry Pi D-Star Facebook page a little later. This is W7VFQ.
And Jim, I do believe that one will give it to you in Celsius, but if you run the script that I built, it will translate it into Fahrenheit, and there's a little calculation stuff that goes on in there. But yeah, I think that was brought up with Glenn during the Elmer TechNet, and then it got transferred over, I think, to this one time. But I now have a desktop icon on all 4 of my Raspberry Pis running that I just double click it and it shoots it to a log that brings it up on the desktop. And I can see which one is running warm, hot, or otherwise. But yeah, it's all good. But yeah, that's the basic formula that you just came up with. KD780.
Yeah, I just ran on mine, and I'm at 37.6. So you got to go to your Alex terminal, enter that command line, and you're good to go. So, Carrie, were you able to copy that information? I am going to post it on the Raspberry Pi D-Star Facebook page later.
N1HGB.
I'm sorry, I had split concentration, so I didn't quite follow all that was said there, but I've been trying to find this command so I can execute it myself. It's just one of those things that I do not run Microsoft Windows, my Linux boxes are set up for single click. So if I have an icon to click on, I just normally single click it and all that kind of stuff. Because I run a Linux version on my desktop and laptop computers here. And so I do not run Microsoft Windows. So I'm usually found as somewhat of a handicap when it comes to things like that.
So with whatever browser you use, Google the words Raspberry Pi temperature command, and it comes up. Matter of fact, there's several recitations of it. So it's there. Just use it in your browser. Browse for Raspberry Pi temp command. I think we'll move on. I'll have that posted a little later. Anybody else have any questions for the Raspberry Pi D-Target net tonight? This is W7VFQ. Come ahead with your name and call sign.
N5LZB, Chris.
Come in, Chris. Thanks for checking in.
Okay, Jim. I'm just monitoring your net here. I'm new at this type of mode that I'm just now getting used to. Well, Randy there, W4LKS, is my Elmer, and he's been helping me a lot. So I've been monitoring your net just to see if I can learn as much as I can. And still somebody that's new at this, it's just a little bit complicated, but I'm getting there. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm monitoring, and thank you for letting me in. And we'll get you next week. Over.
Thanks for checking in, Chris. Yeah, Randy is a good resource. I've used him more than once, and it is a good net. I run it every third Monday of the month. We have different net controls. Randy's one Monday of the month. I think we've got Steve, KC9SIO, another Monday, and I think Ted picks up the one every now and then too. So I see him open Ted checks a little later tonight. So we're hitting 7:45. I'm going to check one last time to see if anybody has any more questions, and then we'll hit just straight old check-ins. Come on ahead now if you have any more questions. The Raspberry Pi D-Target. Okay, nothing seen or heard. Let's just do check-in. I have you down already. We've already talked. But if you want to check in again, here's the question for the night. What is your go-to reflector? So if you checked in already, come on back into that. So, and we're going to do these in about groups of 3. I'll see if I can keep up with it that way. What's your favorite reflector? It's a W7VFQ. I have to say I hang out most of the time on 29 Alpha. It's where most of the Kabara folks live when they're on D-Star, and that's where I usually hang out. So come on ahead, name and call sign, and I'll get back to you. I'm going to try to do groups of 3 if we have that many check-ins. That'll be rapid fire. Come on ahead.
Kilo 7, Mike Tango Delta, Dave.
Victor Kilo 2, Delta Yankee, Robert.
Well, we've got 2 there. Let's go. We've got K7NGD Dave in Montana. And VK2DY, I didn't catch your name. Why don't you give me your name really quick?
Yes, sir, it's Robert.
Okay, Robert, I'll be back to you. I'm going to go to Dave, K7NGD. How are you doing tonight? What's your favorite reflector?
Good evening, Jim. Always nice to hear you on the air. I hang out on 29 Alpha because I love the Great Northwest, and we've got a lot of good people, a lot of good information, and I just feel like that's my stomping ground. So that's why I enjoy 29 Alpha. K7 MTD. Good evening, everyone.
Thanks for checking in, Dave. Dave and I have a backstory. We met together at a RPOD rally. RPOD is a small RV. I was organizing it and got to know him there, and he got to see a V-Star demo, and good guy. I always like hearing him. He checks in on our morning nets, and very frequently on 29 Alpha. How you doing here, Dave? So, VK2DY, Robert, come on ahead. What's your favorite reflector?
Yes, good afternoon. This is Robert at VK2DY in metropolitan Sydney. And I'm sort of new to D-Star a bit. I noticed there's some activity on 1 Charlie, so I guess that would have to be my answer at this point until I do some more exploring. VK2DY, back to it.
Oh, you said Sydney. Is that Sydney, BC, or Sydney, Australia? I'm guessing it's BC. W7BQ.
Yeah, VK2DY. VK2 is New South Wales, Australia. So I am, yes, metropolitan Australia. I'm out in a place called Kellyville Ridge, which is about on the edge of Sydney, about 40 miles from the central business district. VK2DY.
Well, welcome to that tonight. I think this is the first Australian check-in that I've had on the net. We have VE coming out of Canada. I wasn't sure VK was coming out of Canada or Australia. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. And 1 Charlie is a good way to get started on. I made a lot of great contacts there. So, thanks for joining us. And anybody else want to check in tonight and tell us about your favorite reflector? W7VFQ. I'll try to take check-ins in 3s. I got 2 the last time. I'm going to give it now. Come on ahead.
Whiskey 6, Charlie, Juliet, X-ray, Bob.
KK6 RUN, Mike from Highland, California.
And November 5, Whiskey Delta, Wayne from Fort Worth.
Okay, F3. I'm going to go with that. Start off there with Bob. W6CJX. Come on in.
Well, good evening to all on the Raspberry Pi net. Had to think about it. I go to so many nets through the week that it's kind of hard to name my main reflector, but I would guess my default's going to be 12 Alpha for the Papa system, and since I am net controller for one of the nets, I guess I better say that. I might get in trouble. My contract won't get renewed next year. But anyway, yeah, it's probably 12 Alpha, but I do love all the reflectors. In fact, for this net, I was waiting over on 29 Alpha like an idiot. Forgot what day it was, and then realized I'm supposed to be on 38 Charlie for the Raspberry Pi net. So there you go. I've all mixed up tonight. But anyway, I made it over here just in time for the whole net. I didn't miss too much. But anyway, and I just want to invite everyone to come by tomorrow night. I'll be net control over here on the Papa system on 12 Alpha at 8 p.m. Pacific. So if you have absolutely nothing to do and your radio just happens to be sitting there, link it up to 12 Alpha and come over and say hi. And it's the Papa system D-Star TechNet. We do a little bit of technical stuff, but also welcome anyone who wants to just come in and say hi at any time. So just got that. Send it on back. Great net tonight. Thanks for doing it. And we'll just send it on back. 7-3 from W6CJX over in Camarillo, California. Good to hear the Australian station or New Zealand, I think, whichever one it was. From down under, that was good to hear. Back to you.
Yeah, it was Australia. Yeah, it was really neat. Really glad Robert checked in. Thanks for checking in with us, Bob. And I will try to get in tomorrow. I've had a bit of a cold and some laryngitis going on, but this week I feel really good, and I'm starting to go hoarse, but I'm going to sip a little bourbon and see if I can make that go away when that's over. So let's go back now to KK6RUN, Mike. I think Mike's in California. Come on ahead, Mike. Tell us what's your favorite reflector.
Yeah, this is KK6RUN, Mike from Highland, California. My favorite reflector is one Charlie. I get up in the morning, get ready for work. I love to listen to the UK. I get a kick out of those guys when they talk, and they're really active in the morning, around 6, 7, 8 o'clock Pacific time. You always hear guys from Scotland, a lot of England, and sometimes you get some Ireland in there. So it's like I say, I enjoy listening to them. I get a kick out of it. So, anyway, hey, thanks for checking me in, and hope everybody has a good week. I'm going to send it back to you. This is KK6RUN back in net control.
Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it, Mike. It's always good having people check in, and you've been on here before when I've been on. Next, I've got N5, WD Wayne. Wayne, you want to check in tonight? Tell us what's your favorite reflector and where you're from.
Well, good evening to everybody on the net. N5WD. My name is Wayne. We are in Fort Worth, Texas. Salt reflector is probably 4 Bravo, the Texas State Network. Spent a lot of time on 62 Bravo, listening a lot, and 14 Charlie every once in a while, and of course here and 4 Charlie, or 4 Bravo, excuse me, is the default. If you're looking for me, that's probably a good place to start. And everybody anybody will drop by every once in a while. We have a lot of non-Texas stations checking in, so everybody's welcome to drop in and see who's there. N5WD.
Thanks for checking in. I appreciate that, Wayne. It's always good to hear you on here. I hear you on the internet occasionally too. So, I'm in that 3. It takes 3 more. Come on ahead. Check in. Be sure and be thinking about your favorite reflector. Come on ahead now. We can check in.
2M0 JLS.
Okay, I'll do one at a time. 2M0 JLS. John, tell us where you're from and your favorite reflector.
Good evening to everyone on the net. Well, I'm one of those that I'm up all sort of queer hours during the night due to various illnesses. I sleep when I can, and so therefore I tend to travel round about. I look at the D-Star info and go round about the various nets. My default net, if you like, or favourite net, is 1 Charlie. But I have a remark to make about 1 Charlie, that on a Sunday night, 1 Charlie, the London reflector, is blocked for 3.5 to 4 hours with the international net. Now, I would like to suggest that instead of being on 1 Charlie, it could move to 1 Alpha, Bravo, or Delta, and therefore leaving the 1 Charlie, which is the main mega reflector, free. I think 3.5 to 4 hours tying up a main reflector, I would disagree with, and I would be interested in any other thoughts on that subject. Back tonight.
So, John, where are you from? I'm assuming it's England. Come on back.
2M0 JLS, no. I am not from England, I am from Scotland, and I'm in the centre of Scotland in a town called Grangemouth, a petrochemicals refinery, petrochemicals and refining, the main thing. And Grangemouth is about 18 miles west of the capital city, Edinburgh. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that clarification. I should not have guessed. I've guessed wrong twice tonight. So anyway, I've had a check-in from Scotland now. I've never had one of those on this net before. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. All right. Anybody else want to check in on the Raspberry Pi D-Star net?
V6SKI, Dave.
V.
I'm checking in with a Raspberry Pi hotspot here in my home in Woodland, Colorado.
C5ALH, Texas.
I got 3 there. The last one was total R2D2. I have got V6SKI, Dave, in Alberta. I got N0WQ, Kerry in Colorado. And KC5ALH, Paul in Big Spring, Texas. I'm going to start that off with Dave, WE6SKI. What's your favorite reflector?
Good evening, and thanks for having me on the net this evening. V6SKI from just outside Edmonton, Alberta. Favorite reflector? Probably, I bounce around between 1 Charlie and 30 Charlie, but then our local repeater is usually sitting on X reflector 5 Bravo. So, sit around different ones. Other than popping onto the hotspot and going wherever I want to go and see. That's the way it tends to work out. Sitting here this evening with my daughter who just finished getting her license as Victor Echo 6 Yankee Lima Delta, so she's a little radio shy right now, so I'm not going to put her on. But anyhow, thank you very much for the net. It's the V6SKI.
Well, I think that's pretty neat that your daughter got her license. So she's V6 VLD. Say hello to it. Come on. Don't be bashful.
Yeah, that was Victor Echo 6, Yankee Lima Delta, YLD, or Wild, of the Wild Daughter, V6SKI.
Well, Victor Echo 6 YLD, come join us anytime when you get over that, pushing that push-to-talk button for the first time. Love to have you on. So thank you very much for joining us, Dave. I'm going to skip back now to N0WIQ Carrie. What's your favorite reflector?
Oh, this is N0WIQ, and I'm relatively new to D-Star, so I don't really have a favorite reflector yet. I use a Raspberry Pi hotspot, so I can tune into any link I want to tune into. And I usually tune in for various nets. The Raspberry Pi net for me is kind of familiar territory because I now have 3 Raspberry Pi hotspots set up on 3 different frequencies so that I can use even links so I can just tune across to whichever one and monitor that one for a while and all that kind of stuff. And of course then I can link into any other reflector I want to. So that's me. And like I say, I'm new to D-Star, so I'm learning a little bit about that as we go along. Back to that N0WIQ.
You're really going. We got 3 Raspberry Pi D-Stars going. That's great. So next I've got KC5ALH. Paul, come in. Where are you at? What's your favorite reflector?
All right, very good. Good evening to all on the net tonight. KC5ALH, first name is Paul. I'm located in Big Spring, Texas, and talking to you on a Kenwood 74, which is awesome, I think. And I still have a Pi 2 with a DV Megaboard on D-Star Commander. But that's a rock-solid system. It's hard to, no matter what all hotspots they come up with, that's one that's, I think, going to go down in the books as probably one of the most rock-solid and dependable setups you can get. So that is for sure. Well, favorite, that's a big word. I'm going to have to say it probably means the one that you spend the most time on, or the one that your radio is connected to the most. The more number of hours throughout the week. And that happens to be 30 Charlie, but I'll just tell you, that's not to mention very many other reflectors you can go to check into very many nets. Participate in quite a list of them over there, and talk to so many different people on different reflectors that I don't want them to go unmentioned, but favorite would have to be 30 Charlie. That's the one that I'm connected to the very most throughout the week. All right, good evening to all, and hope everyone's doing great. Just wanted to get checked in here from Big Spring, Texas, and say hello from the Kenwood 74 there. All right, back to net control, and I'll continue to listen. KC5ALH.
Thank you, Kenwood Radio is a sweetheart. I definitely enjoy mine a lot. I have it sitting here as my backup. It's always easier for me to run the net using my Northwest Digital Radio Thumb DV. I'm running it off of a Mac using Buster software, and it is rock solid way to go. I get to see everybody's name, message, I get durations of time, your call sign, your names. A lot of times you put them in there, and it's a good deal. Do enjoy my Raspberry Pi is running rock solid off of D-Star Commander 2. I don't think it's much better than that. I really appreciate it. So, I think at the end of my list, take 3 more check-ins. Come on ahead.
W4LKS.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're still there, Randy. Come on ahead. W4LKS. What's your favorite reflector? I can only guess.
Well, I'm the one that talked my way into allowing us to use Reflector 29 Alpha. That's run by the good guys down there in Logan, Utah, the Northern Utah Technical Society. No, they're not nuts. Even though when I asked them if we could camp out on their A module, they didn't ask for criminal background checks or anything. So I kind of feel like we asked, your Uncle Bob if we could crash on his couch in the basement, and then we invited a bunch of friends over, and now the party is so wild that it's extending out into the lawn, and they're still not complaining. 29 Alpha is a great reflector. Anyway, great net tonight. Thanks, 7-3 from Randy, W4LPS.
Yep, 29 Alpha is my favorite too. It's the one I usually hang out on, and it does. Never that crowded, but like I say, it does move out onto the lawn. Actually, I think there's a few people hanging in the garage too. So, Randy, when things are over tonight, I'd like to talk with you on 29 Alpha momentarily. I have a question about the Kenwood D74 Beach 74A. So, I'll check in with you then. I'll try you on 29 Alpha. So, anybody else want to check in on the Raspberry Pi D-Star?
W7SSK, Don.
I knew you'd be in there, Don. W7SSK, what is your favorite reflector? Tell us about Macro-Theo. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Jim. And hi to everybody. Hi to Randy. I usually hang out on 29 Alpha too, but it's pretty quiet a lot of the time. If I just want to listen to something for a bit, I'll pop over to Italy. But I consider 29 Alpha my home as well, so it's on most of the day typically, and I can run all day on my battery-operated hot with a DV Mega and a Pi 3 and a 16,000 milliampere hour phone charging battery. So with that, back to you, Jim. W7SSK, back to net.
Nice having you, Don. Always, I was sitting there looking at my list, but I don't think Don's checked in yet. They're always there. So, great to have you here, and it's good to you're at 29 Alpha, too. Anybody else want to check in tonight on the Raspberry Pi D target? Kind of moved away from the triple check-ins to singles, but if you want to check in, please come ahead now. W7VFQ. Come in your name and call sign. Well, I see on screen KE0MRY. I have no name, and I have all R2D2. You want to try again?
KE0MRY in Dallas. This is Bob.
Come in, Bob in Dallas. KE0MRY. I got Bob. I see Denver, but I thought you said Dallas. Come on ahead. Nothing seen nor heard. Try that one more time. KE0MRY. Bob, come ahead. Well, maybe the internet's a little flaky at the moment. I'm not hearing any response coming back from Bob. Anybody else want to check in tonight on the Raspberry Pi D target?
November 0 Sierra Oscar Mike.
November 0 Sierra Oscar Mike. Come on ahead. What are your favorite reflectors?
I don't have a favorite reflector except maybe this one. This is the one I come to most frequently, but it's mostly to listen to this net. I like to just hang out on the local repeater and try and stimulate a little local traffic there. And what I really should start doing is linking the repeater to this reflector in the evening instead of my hotspot so that I can share this with others in the area. Other than that, I just wanted to check in and give you one for the count tonight and say hello. This is N0SO, back to net control.
Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it. Thank you much. Come back with your name and your location, please.
I'm sorry, the name is Mike, and I'm located in St. Charles, Missouri, about 20 miles due west of the Gateway Arch town by the Mississippi River.
Been there. Lovely area. And enjoyed the Gateway Arch trip. Little tiny cubicles riding up there. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you checking in with us. Looking for the check-in tonight. Who wants to be next? W7VFQ. Well, nothing seen or heard. I'm going to put out one more time. Everybody else want to check in tonight? The Raspberry Pi D target. 3 Charlie. Check in. Come have your name and call sign. The question is, what's your favorite reflector? You don't have to share if you don't want to. Come on ahead. Well, nothing seen or heard. I think I've got 19 or maybe 20 check-ins tonight. Thank you, everybody, for participating. I'd like to thank everybody who did participate tonight. Your participation makes this net more valuable for anyone who listens. Plus, it serves to make amateur radio a more valuable resource in times of emergencies and need. I'd like to thank the Northern Ohio Digital Interconnect Group, NODIG, for the use of Reflector 38 Charlie. For more information on NODIG or the Northern Ohio Digital Interconnect Group, that's a mouthful, they can be found at their webpage at www.nodstar.com. One more time, www.November, October, Delta, Sierra, Tango, Alpha, Romeo.com. This net will reconvene each week on Monday night at the same time to reflect the 38 Charlie. Please allow a 30-second break for patients to be able to disconnect from Reflector as we end this net before you begin regular communications on Reflector. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I've enjoyed being your host. 73, this is W7VFQ, returning 38 Charlie, back to normal trees. Good night.
Before you leave, Katie 7080.
Hi, John. Go ahead.
KC.
Yeah, you were talking about throwing some information one direction or the other, websites, whatever. I have absolutely no idea where to send something. I looked you up on QRZ. You don't have an email address, so where do you want something sent?
John, we're Facebook friends. Messenger to me on Facebook. Can you do that?